Hey y'all, it's your girl Miss B, and you are now in the Bay Cave. So today I wanted to come and tell you guys about Karen Huger. So if you guys watch Housewives of Potomac, you know that Karen has been charged with a DUI, and come to find out, this is her fourth DUI. So she is now, she was battling court. She took it to trial, was what she didn't do, and she ended up getting sentenced to a whole year. Yes, guys, Karen Huger from Housewives of Potomac has been charged with DUI and she has been sentenced to 2 years, 6 months suspended, and she actually has to go and turn herself. Well, she actually was sentenced this morning to a full year of jail time, where she is now being processed and locked up. And they are getting rid of the goddamn key. So, we're going to listen to a news excerpt and see what they had to say right after court, and then I'll come back and I'll give more of my commentary, and then we'll get out of here. Please make sure you like this video.
In jail. Prosecutors have been looking for a 2-year sentence with all but 6 months suspended. In this case, the judge made a different decision, deciding that Karen Huger should go to jail for 1 year. Now, this all goes back to the accident in which she was ultimately convicted of DUI. That accident happening in Montgomery County last year, just about 1 year ago. And then, of course, she took this to trial and was convicted in December of last year. So a few months ago, today was sentencing day. And again, that sentence coming down just a short time ago, 1 year in prison for Real Housewives of Potomac star Karen Huger. Now, Bob Barnett has been in the courtroom. We're going to check in with Bob in just a few minutes. We'll find out more as to what actually happened and transpired inside of that courtroom. Bob said it was a very, very busy place. There were a lot of people there with a sentencing. You will typically have people that will make the victim impact statements. You will hear from people on both sides who are essentially speaking on behalf of the person who was about to be sentenced. We don't know at this point until we hear from Bob if any of her castmates were there speaking on her behalf or not. We'll get all that information for you shortly. But we also know that prosecutors had been pushing the fact that she had 3 prior DUI cases in her lifetime. That's why they were pushing for at least some jail time in this case.
Let's not forget that in that video, the video footage for me, I feel like that is what really caused her to be guilty. Did y'all see that car? Did y'all see the way that she was talking? She even pulled the "Do you know who I am" card, and I think it's so like, ugh, when celebrities try to pull that "Do you know who you are? Do y'all know who I am" card, because at the end of the day, y'all are human beings just like the next motherfucker. So I think all of that shouldn't have even have been said, but it was said. Her wig was pushed the fuck back in a crazy way. Like, Ray had to come out the house in the middle of the night. Like, it was just a crazy situation. So do I feel like she deserved the time that she got? You do a crime, you do the time. And although I feel like it's not going to help her with her alcoholism, because I do feel like there's something going on as far as alcoholism, especially if you know you're not supposed to mix medications with alcohol and you do it anyway and it becomes a habit and it's a reoccurring thing. Yes, I think that you have an issue, and I think that she should definitely go and get the help that she needs. And I do feel like maybe they should have put her in a treatment center versus putting her in jail. But I think that video footage really did it for the judge. She tried to write a letter to the police officers. That was not going to work, girl. Like, it's past the point for that. This is not your first DUI. This is your 4th DUI. So this is why they had to take it as serious as they took it. And it's going to be some... I just want to see what's going to happen with her husband, Ray. I hope that the kids take care of Ray. That's basically all I have to say when it comes to that. With that being said, let's get right back into the news story about this whole situation.
Not the full sentence to be suspended. So again, at this point, what we know from the court is that the actual jail time is said to be a 1-year sentence in jail. Waiting for the rest of the details as to whether the sentence was longer than that, with some of that time period suspended or not. You're taking a look right there on the bottom of your screen. That is the front door to the Montgomery County Courthouse in Rockville. I can let you know from what we were hearing from our reporting earlier today, there had been some question when she first arrived at court. Would she try to have a little attention, go in through the doors, have the cameras rolling, that type of thing? That did not happen. Some speculating maybe the entrance in itself, the appearance, would be part of a through line, perhaps on Real Housewives. That did not happen. Essentially, she was able to go into the courthouse through a back entrance. There no fanfare, anything like that, no cameras. Just was able to essentially sneak into the courtroom that way, as we kind of keep an eye on the door there to see if anybody is coming in or out at this point, as we wait to hear more details from Bob as well. But that is what we know right now as far as the potential, well, it would be the sentence at this point after the conviction a little more than 2 months ago in December in Montgomery County. Some of the folks who are coming in and out of court, just to keep in mind, this has nothing to do outside the courtroom right now, outside of the courthouse. He's made his way out of the courtroom. So
the guidelines that the state and the judicial system, tons of notes, so I'm not going to try to read them here, but I will just kind of paraphrase, just saying that, she was a good person, worked hard in recent weeks to try to make good on what happened in March of last year. Karen Huger herself, before the sentencing, told the judge she was sorry, that this was a wake-up call, that she was going to shoot a jail time. So as soon as they announced that it was 1 year in jail, I was able to sneak out a text to our producers. But we really stayed there for the rest of the way to see kind of what else was imposed. And there's something like $2,900 in fines and 5 years of probation once she serves a year in jail or prison. They were talking about her serving her time behind bars here in Montgomery County, but that after she gets out after 1 year, she'll not be able to drive a car at all for another year. And then when she is allowed, obviously not to drive after drinking alcohol, and that she'll need an interlock device, which is something that her attorney was offering up right away, saying that if they could see it to either have her on home detention or just on probation, that she already was willing to install those interlocking devices and attend regular AA meetings. In terms of like her reaction, not too much. When her husband Ray stood up behind her to offer testimony to the judge, she kind of looked ahead, didn't seem to acknowledge him, and then at one point was wiping away tears, and then did look back at him before he sat down. It was a packed courtroom. There's a very large courtroom here at the Circuit Courthouse here in Rockville, which a lot of big cases usually have. This was in a smaller courtroom on the 8th floor, but it was packed. The judge allowed people to stand. John McCarthy, the state's attorney, who we'll hopefully hear from at some point, was actually sitting in a folding chair in the center aisle with other people. So it was a packed courtroom. No real audible reaction when the judge, harshly sentenced Karen Huger to 1 year in jail, and she didn't really react either. Steve and I had a chance, as I was walking out here, one of the jurors, a jury found her guilty back in December of driving under the influence of alcohol. She didn't want to go on camera, but said she was actually surprised by this verdict. Had told me that was not really expecting the judge to come down as hard as he did. Again, his demeanor throughout, before he started talking, was very casual and cordial, and then he seemed visibly angry. And I have quotes in here. If you give me a second, some of the things that the judge said in imposing the sentence, were really harsh. There's all the details of the sentence. If you give me 1 second, he did mention, that there was some talk about her blaming her accident in March in Potomac on the fact that she had mixed anti-anxiety and antidepressive medications with alcohol. The judge said, you were filled to the gills with alcohol. And he blasted her for her behavior at the time of her arrest and scolding the officers. Before the sentencing, her attorney handed the judge 3 one-page letters that she wrote to each of the 3 officers who were on the scene last March 19th, right before midnight, apologizing for her behavior that night and thanking them for their service. Steve?
Just to follow up on Bob, one, you mentioned the possibility of her serving the sentence in Montgomery County. Did the judge give any further instructions as to where the sentence should be carried out? And second of all, does it start right away?
It does start right away. I spoke to John McCarthy as we were leaving the courtroom because I wanted to get out here, and the judge dismissed everyone, but she was still standing there at the defense table. And I asked John McCarthy, does this jail sentence, whatever you want to call it, jail prison sentence, begin right away? And he said, oh yeah, it starts today. So she's going right to jail. And the judge mentioned, he didn't say like the Montgomery County Jail, Montgomery County Adult Detention Center. He said something about, you'll serve this in the state of Maryland, something, and then he said here in Montgomery County. So she is going to be, in a sense, a prisoner of the state of Maryland, but serve that, I can only presume, at the jail up in Clarksburg.
So yeah, when it comes to Karen Huger, she is one of my favorite housewives all across the board of the Housewives franchise. I've always seen something in Karen that was elegant, and I feel like nobody is perfect. And she was dealing with some demons just like the rest of us out here in the world. And apparently she was taking antidepressants and depressants at the same time while drinking alcohol, which led to her having the issues that she is having. And unfortunately, I feel bad for Ray. I feel bad for her children because they have to deal with this publicly. And Ray he's an older guy, so I just hope that he's going to be all right while she's locked up in jail. I don't know the laws in Maryland, but I'm hoping that she doesn't have to do the whole 365 days to make it a year sentence. I know here in New York, When you do jail time and you get a year, it's actually really like 8 months or so. So hopefully she only has to do that. As you guys heard, she's going to have probation. She's going to have to, she's not going to be able to drive for a whole year. And they're probably going to put one of them breathalyzer things in her car for sure when she is allowed to drive. If I was Cameron, I would just get me a driver at this point in life, because who wants to be fucking driving all the time anyway? Like, driving can be annoying. So yeah, send prayers to Ray. Send prayers to Cameron. Let's hope that she could come back and get her job back after all of this is over, because it's only a year. And Teresa did it and came back and got back on the show. So let's just hope the same thing for Miss Cameron Huger, the Grand Dame. But she does not even want to be called the Grand Dame anymore. She wants to be called Karen. She wants to be herself. So we're going to give that to her. Please make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And I am out of here.